This is Evie with WKNC talking to No Joy about their new album Bugland and their discography overall.
It's true, nature has these things where you're like, the patterns or the designs or the roots or these things are like feel so futuristic, but it's like, no, these have existed long before us. Creatures and insects in nature, like there's always so much more to learn about and to find out, and I don't know like anything. Like I'm at the beginning of learning about it, so it feels like kind of like a whole world or land that you can sort of like dive into and learn about. The name was just sort of always what we refer to home as, and so using the sort of like exploration of a new home to be kind of the title of the record. Kind of inspired by nature, which is super cheesy to say, but it's true. And Fire-Toolz, who co-produced with me, she also left the city and moved somewhere a bit more rural. So we were both kind of like going through this like, isn't grass so cool? Like, do you ever just look at trees? Like we were all like really in touch with our nature. So I guess that informed the record, like, but it wasn't the plan to begin with. The plan was just to write and make stuff with Fire-Toolz, and it just so happened that we were both sort of in our country life mode at the time. Natural, but yet completely electronic, but feels so organic. And yeah, the new sound, I think it's because of Fire-Toolz, and I'd never worked with her before, and I heard her music and I was just so confused in the best way. Like I was like, what is going on here? Like it is crazy. But she has like such a knack for hooks and melodies, and that's what usually draws me into music. So I just like fangirled and was like, hey, do you want to work on some stuff together? And Bugland, the song, was the first one we did. I had an old demo. We passed it back and forth. And then it just happened so quick that I was like, okay, if we can get one song like this done so quickly, I think we could do a record. For Hollywood Teeth specifically, that was in the era, like more when it was up more faithful, and so we were Garland, who played drums, and Michael, who was on bass. Like we were practicing a lot, and so it's funny you say it sounds really like a jam, because that was really like the peak of us being a really tight band, and then recording live, like just all together in the room, and so that, like, we really practiced a lot. By the time we were recording it, we were just like so in tune with each other that that's why it sounds that way, because we all recorded it live, whereas like on other tracks, especially later, like Motherhood and things like that, we didn't record as a full band all the time. We would do like tracks here, tracks there, put them together, chop them up. But More Faithful was really like everybody literally jamming all the time. And so the cover of More Faithful is us just like wrestling in our jam space, because we were just always practicing, which again like counters what I just said about me never making time to write, because I guess it's easier when you have other people to hold you accountable for practice. it's so complex, and it can be the literal, like you're a mom and you have a baby, and it can be it has so many other meanings, like also like Lady Gaga being mother, you know. But it has so many meanings, and it also opened the conversation a lot. People resonated with that record on so many different levels. So I had people reach out to me about like losing their mothers recently, or becoming a mother, or not being able to be a mother, or like being a mom to pets, and like, or like I got to connect with people about so many different things that they heard in the record, and I'm happy for that, because it wasn't meant to be just like one thing, but it's an interesting topic that I don't think is always you don't always see all the different dimensions to it. So I'm happy that people heard some of that in that record. So that record is kind of like more thematically one story, and it's like just different aspects of exploring motherhood as like a daughter, as a mother, as a sister, you know, as a friend, and so those two are kind of expansions on those themes. Existing and making music is inherently political, especially if you're doing it somewhat on a DIY level. Because the world is in such a state, I also wanted to create something that might not be a distraction, but instead be maybe something that gives hope, and that gives you like energy to keep fighting, or to keep building, or to keep learning, because it's important to have hope to be able to keep working towards a better world. And there's a lot of negative out there, and I just thought like the best way that I can contribute to that conversation is to add something that maybe inspires people to keep going. In everything I do, I always like a contrast, or like, for me, if something is confusing, that means I'm curious about it, and I think there's potential, and I want to know. And that's some of my favorite art discoveries have been things that at first I'm like, what is that? I don't get it, and then you get it. So I always love a contrast where it's like, when we started making music as No Joy as a full band, it was like to make really heavy stuff with like vocals that were pretty light. So it's like this contrast. And so Hellhole was just like, you know, with the art as well, it was like pretty dark, pretty, lots of like evil symbolism, but like super catchy, and like kind of bubblegummy beat, and like this just contrast where you're like, but this looks like it's supposed to be metal, but it doesn't sound like it. So what is going on? And I'm sure that having this confusing contrast hasn't like helped my case for some new listeners who get confused. Yeah, that one, I am happy to say that Garland, who played drums, he was like a main writer. That's his track, and it was one of those tracks where I was so confused. I was like, I don't know how to play this. I don't know what chords you're doing. I don't know what words you're saying. Like, it's so confusing. His brain just worked on a different level. So that one was like, it took me a while to get the vocals right. That one we did with George Albrecht, who produced it, and like he was able to figure out the chords and he was able to help out with the guitar stuff. But that was a girl in jam that is still so like, I was just talking to him like this year. We were like, how did we play that? I had to go back and get the stems and like try and figure out the chords. It's a weird one. Yeah, I think at this stage where the way that I'm producing music is way more, I come in with like the main idea, like let's say the sketch of the song, and the people who are contributing to it, I give them like free range. Do whatever you do, and like any idea is not stupid. Like even if you think it's stupid, it's go for it. Like we're gonna try and we'll find a way to make it work. And that's especially when it comes to like with working with Angel. That's why like things with drums and beats and stuff, like she's so crazy with that. She's so good at it. So like me just saying like do whatever you want because I trust you and I know that like you're gonna come up with something amazing, and then balancing that with whatever sketch I put through. Like I think it's a lot of collaboration, and I mean, it depends. Everybody's different, but I don't like to have an idea of how I want the song to be before. Like, I don't want to be like, this is going to be like the rock song. I just go like, this is the thing. I don't know. Let's see where it goes. So I don't like having a plan. I like just kind of winging it. I feel like that theme revealed itself long after the record came out. That was the first time we were in the studio, like in a real studio with a producer. Before that, we were just recording ourselves in jam spaces, and so I think that's where I learned through George, like to just try stuff and just do it, and like who cares? Because we had so much fun making that record. It was so fun at all hours recording, and like I think that's the theme of that one was just to like you can experiment and go crazy and it can still sound good, and that's what we were able to do on that one. But I do remember like recording the vocals for that when we were finished. Like usually the vocals were kind of like the last thing that we put on the track, and I remember there's just like you just kind of feel it when something is happening, and like when we did that song we just could kind of feel like something was but I mean, for example, like some of these songs on this new record are from that era. Or like Bugland was a demo called White Zombie that I had like had like a weird guitar that was, I think it was in GarageBand even, so it's probably like from 2016 that I like tried different things over the years and it just never really worked. And then it was one where like I brought it to Fire-Toolz and was just like, what about this? Let's try this because I'm sort of feeling it. So it's like it was percolating for a long time. I think that's happened with a few songs of mine too, where I don't want to let them go, but I don't want to put them out until they find like the right place to be. So maybe with this one, that's what happened. On Motherhood, it was shot by my good friend Matt Fortin, who also shot the Bugland art. And he's from Montreal, but he lives in Paris now, and he was home for like a week or something. I saw him at like a friend's barbecue, and I was like, hey, I think I might have an album coming out soon. I don't know when, but like since you're here, like we should shoot something. And we went back and forth with like how to conceptualize this, but he's such an amazing artist that we found a local guy who has some bugs that he brings to like science events. I was like, can I borrow your spider, your crab, your snail? Like he came over, we all set up. There was a train, sorry. And Matt shot these, like, it's incredible. Like, you know, some of the shots are just unreal, but it's because he's an amazing creative director and photographer, and the bugs were like cooperating that day, so they all did well. And I think like the video was my husband directed it, and we just kind of like I called a stylist friend and a makeup artist friend, and they helped me out, and we just had an idea. You know what? The idea for the video literally was based on something real. We had a mouse in the wall, which I'm sure if you're in the country, you get mice in the wall all the time. And we were trying to like find out where he was coming from. And then the idea kind of spiraled like, what if like there was something in my guitar amp and I follow it, and then like when you follow through the hole, you end up kind of Alice in Wonderland style, you end up in Bugland. For this one, I feel like it's almost like the most abstract, but it's also the most cohesive in that there's no narrative that's like a story beginning, middle, end, but they all exist in the same world, like Bugland. So they all kind of fit together, and it's, you know, it's a short record. It's not super long. None of the records I've made have been like super, super long. I have no attention span, so they have to be short. But I feel like this one is hopeful and optimistic. Yeah, we haven't been on tour for a while. Last one I think was 2021, but we haven't played Europe in a long time, or the UK. So I'm super excited to go back. That was one of my goals for this record, was to kind of like reach out a bit more, get to places we haven't been in a while. Oh yeah, that's our friend Devin designed that one, and he's like super amazing designer, goes by Butler. That was like a funny EP, where Thorn and Garland Side comes from, because it was right after More Faithful, and we were like touring a lot, and then you kind of like, music industry, you're like busy, 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 and then nothing, and then busy, busy, busy. So this was in a little break where we had nothing going on, and we went to record most of it in Hamilton with and again, it was like really like we were playing live all together, like a really rock setup. I think we played that song live a couple times, but it doesn't usually make it into the set anymore. But it was a fun little like weekend where we just kind of flopped out 3 songs, that being one of them, and that was it. Kind of like it should feel like that, like amazing feeling you had when you're like, you just had a great day outside with your friends and you went to the beach and like you got sunburned but you feel great, and you're like kind of dehydrated but need to go to bed. That's what the record should feel like, I think. To me anyway.
I can help whatever it is you're doing.